Chapter 40. Inside the tide listening pavilion, de Zhugua saw the two of them leave the residence with his own eyes. He smiled as he returned to the pavilion and sat opposite the chief advisor Li Yishan. He asked softly, "Brother Yuanying, do you think this rascal will cheat more of the little girl from the Yen family or save that bookworm Yen Qiji's family of 69 people?" Li Yishan said calmly, "Both." Su Xiao smiled. "Is the position of Lingzhou's magistrate so worthless? That old fellow Yen Jieshi is too much of an armchair strategist. Does he think that by forming a relationship with Wang Taibao, even if his daughter is lucky enough to become the imperial concubine, she can escape from my hands? Does he think he can bring me down by hiding under the emperor's feet and complaining about me? He didn't even think about who gave him the money he earned in Liangdi. Without this money, what can he use to win over Wang Taibao and become brothers with that Han Diaoxi from the inner palace? On this point, Li Gongda is much smarter. He still remembers who is his true source of income. Only this kind of person can live long." Li Yishan said calmly, "How can there be so many docile dogs for you to order around? Occasionally, a few crazy dogs will jump out and jump over the wall. Isn't that what you want? If Liangdi is peaceful every year, there won't be soldiers training horses at the borders. Without Yen Jieshi and the other so-called loyal ministers who are ready to make trouble, wouldn't your position be even more difficult? Aren't there a lot of ministers who are busy tarnishing their own reputations for the rest of their lives? You are already very good. You can even reject the marriage of the princess. The scholars of the world have scolded you for 10 to 20 years and they still haven't broken your spine. You should be proud." De Zhugua was calm and did not make any comments. Li Yishan mocked himself slightly. That rascal is less feminine but more ruffian. Not long after Su Fengnian returned to the Fu, he came upstairs to deliver wine and was pulled into a few rounds of chess. In the end, Li Yishan was very angry. To Li Yishan, no matter how the game of Go changed, no matter how many paths there were, it was still a dead object. No matter how big the situation was, it was still a ghost trap. Li Yishan did not like it. However, Su Fengnian was naughty when he was young and could not calm his heart down. If he wanted to nail this rascal's butt to the mat, the only way was to search and search. That was the only way. Privately, Li Yishan admired the boy's extraordinary memory. When the two of them played chess at first, there were still chess pieces on the board, but later on, they removed the chess pieces and just pretended to be placed in the air. There were 19 vertical and 19 vertical positions. They agreed on the position of the chess pieces in advance and could not go back on their words. Who would have thought that after returning from this trip, Su Fengnian would learn an endless stream of unreasonable hand tendons from who knows where. The more he learned, the more violent his fists became. Li Yishan was in a difficult situation a few times. He almost smashed this reckless brat with his wine pot. Li Yishan, who was sitting cross-legged, was slightly helpless. He smiled faintly and said, "We have 10 rounds of listening to the tide and it looks like it will be 4 wins and 4 losses. This rascal did as I wished and picked up martial arts. However, he beat me in chess." Su Xiao laughed and said, "There are still 2 rounds left. No rush, no rush." Li Yishan raised his brush but stopped in the air. He asked, "The Chancellor of Shangyin Academy wants to play chess with you?" Su Xiao laughed and said, "Yes." Li Yishan sneered and said, "Back then, they used the 9 nations as chess pieces and half of the world as the chessboard. How bold. However, I didn't see them make any brilliant moves. They were arrogant but incompetent, sitting and discussing the Tao. After being defeated by you, all the arrangements and chess momentum are gone." Su Xiao said, "Wei Xiong is still studying there. I have to give him some face. Otherwise, you also know my temperament. The spirit of a scholar and the spirit of righteousness are the 2 things that stink the most to me." Li Yishan smiled and didn't say anything. Su Xiao suddenly asked, "Do you think Black Tortoise is going to flourish or not?" Li Yishan asked back, "Wang Zhonglo has wasted his time cultivating the difficult Great Yellow Court Pass. Aren't you afraid that Wudong Mountain will fall out with you?" Su Xiao laughed it off. In the secluded courtyard of the prince's mansion, Su Fengnian and the old man sat cross-legged in the courtyard's corridor. They slowly recounted every detail of the battle in the snow. If the knife wasn't decisive enough, if the knife speed was too fast and didn't have enough energy left, or if the response wasn't appropriate and wasted a bit of energy, the old man would beat him with the back of the knife. After the lesson, he would give a few concise comments. The old man was an expert in using the knife to the extreme. Even if he wasn't there, listening to Su Fengnian's words was no different from seeing it with his own eyes. Su Fengnian didn't want to give the superior incantation, and the old man didn't take the initiative to reveal his trump card. The two of them guessed each other's riddles, competing to see who had the better patience. The white-haired old man leaned against a red pillar and asked with a smile, "Kid, since you are going to retrieve the sword case, why don't you learn the sword? Wouldn't it be more straightforward? Besides, in Jianghu, don't all young people like to carry swords? One sword comes from the east, one sword goes to the west, and so on. It sounds more powerful than using the knife." That phrase is called Yang Chun, or something. Grandpa forgot it for a moment. Su Fengnian sat upright with his xiaodong across his knees. He chuckled and said, "Yang Chun by Shui. Even in this cold land, they call you Idiot Su." "You're wronged." The old man slapped his thigh with one hand and the shoulder of His Royal Highness with the other. The latter almost fell forward. He swayed and stabilized himself with great difficulty. Su Fengnian said self-deprecatingly, "Grandpa, your eyesight is really ordinary. Compared to knife skills, it's worlds apart." The old man smiled and said, "When Grandpa and that Zamadeo Wei Beishan fight, I will really have to leave this place. Kid, have you thought about your future path?"